welcome to my podcast. This is a new experience for me. It's not a new experience for me. It's something that I've actually have done before, but I'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, welcome to my podcast. This is the Reviewed by Nick podcast, and you guessed it, my name is Reviewed. No, actually, my name is Nick. A little bit about myself. I am from North Carolina. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to tell you where exactly in North Carolina, but I'll just say that I'm from a town that I personally like to call Smallville. Um, Unfortunately, we did not have super meta humans running around, and I was the only one who could stop them all and all that kind of good stuff. No, we didn't. No, I was not Clark Kent or anything like that. But although I do have a Clark Kent kind of personality because I tend to want to save people all the time. But anyway, that's just me rambling, which you will probably experience a lot of in this podcast. So just preparing you. Um, this is where it's gonna be and how it's gonna be. But yeah, that's just me. So anyway, and I know I'm saying a lot. You gotta forgive me. This is like my first real podcast, and there's gonna be a lot of ums, a lot of uns, and a lot of probably some heavy breathing, whatever. So just prepare. Just prepare yourself. Um, see, just like that. Hopefully, as I do more of these, I will get better at that. So for right now, you just got to bear with me. I'm just like I said, this is my first podcast. Probably the first few podcasts I do, it's probably gonna be like that. But just to let you know, this could be the one and only podcast that I do because after I upload it and listen to it and everything, I will probably be like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do this. Nah, not for me. I'm out. But no, it, essentially, I'm just doing this because I really enjoy movies, and that's what this particular channel, this podcast, is going to be about. It's going to be about my love of movies, about movies that have come out, movies that I've seen in the past, movies I enjoy, some movie news, uh, things of that nature. We'll talk about some TV shows. There'll be some talk about tech and some sports because while this will be mainly a movie focused podcast, I am also going to talk about a little bit of tech, a little bit of sports. Right now, the NCAA tournament's going on right now. I actually have some thoughts on that, but I will save that for another time because in this first episode, I really just want to talk about me, some movies that have come out and things like that. So anyway, basically, as I said before, my name is Nick from North Carolina. And as I said earlier, this is not my first podcast. No, this is actually my second podcast. So when I was a college sophomore, I believe I was a sophomore in college. I was bored in my room one night, and I would always play with uh, Windows. What was it? Windows Movie Maker or Media Maker, whatever. It was something along those lines, and I I was just kind of playing around because I do have a YouTube channel, and I used to upload videos on there. And if you want to check it out, be my guest. It should be under Reviewed by Nick. Um, or at least I think it is. I have to check that, but that's something I have to look into anyway. But anyway, um, so basically, I was just sitting there bored one night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a podcast just to see what it's like. And I don't think I had a microphone, or did I? No, I had one of those like, oh gosh, I think it was one of those microphones that actually came with the computer. Like when you remember when you used to buy a computer and a microphone would come with it. I think that's what I used, and I think the podcast is called or was called Nick's World, And I think I just rambled for like 40 minutes. Basically, what this podcast is going to be me rambling for about 40 or 50 or 30 or 20 minutes. like, just giving you guys a heads up. But, yeah, it, it was the only episode I did. It is, I will say this, I have not been able to find that podcast anywhere, even though I still get emails from Apple because I uploaded it to Apple. Um, and you gotta understand, I was a sophomore in college back in like 2005. So this is a long, long time ago. But anyway, so yeah, I do have a podcast out there. I called it either Nick's World or The World According to Nick. It was something stupid. Anyway, and so if you find it, it's floating out there somewhere in the ether. I can't find it anywhere. And to be honest, I don't want to find it because it's so stupid. But anyway, the main reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because honestly, I really enjoy going to the movies a lot. I actually wanted to kind of expand my quote unquote social presence. And so I decided a few years ago on my own personal Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page, but it's kind of deactivated right now. That's a whole other back and forth. It's nothing bad. It's just I'm kind of taking a social media break from Facebook at the moment right now. But honestly, I don't miss it, to be completely honest. I don't miss Facebook, but I'm on other platforms like YouTube, Instagram mostly, and Snapchat. But for the most part, I'm mostly on Instagram. But anyway, I basically just started writing movie reviews just for fun, just for the heck of it, because I was like, you know what? I want to put my thoughts out there on this movie. I want to go see it, and let's put it out there. Do not ask me what my first movie was that I reviewed, because I honestly could not tell you, and I don't really have my computer set up to go look up the first movie review I did, because I actually did movie reviews in several different ways. I think I did try, there was an app, what was it called? Stardust, I think. And you could just kind of upload I don't know if that app still exists, but it's kind of a cool app in a way. But it was like a cool little app where all it did was you just basically uploaded your quick thoughts on a movie. You upload it there and you just send it out to the world, and that was it. It was like for 10 seconds or something like that. And I also tried just uploading a straight video to my Facebook, and I didn't like seeing myself on camera. This is in part why this podcast will be audio only and not video only. There are certain podcasts out there that are audio and video, and some of them where it's like Pod Meets World. It's kind of great to kind of see some of the game back together for Boy Meets World, or Drama Queens. That's for One Tree Hill. Right now, I think they're only audio only, but if you go to their social media outlets, they actually have video clips of their audio sessions, and it's actually pretty cool. I kind of wish they would put that in as a whole video podcast, but maybe that's coming soon or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, this podcast is mostly going to be audio only. So, and again, I'm rambling on, but anyway, I'm getting to my point. So basically, I was just doing reviews for fun. And just to let you guys know, and this is a side note, I am recording this in my living room. So if you hear any weird noises as this podcast continues, it's just because I'm in a big open living room, and maybe I need to record this in my closet next time. But I don't want to be in a small closet just for this rinky-dink little podcast. So we'll see how this works out. Anyway, let me continue on. So I basically just started doing movie reviews, and a lot of people started to like them a lot. And so eventually, when I did open up my Instagram, I decided to, you know what, maybe I'll just put my reviews on Instagram and see what happens. And in the last few years, I've actually had, not I'm going to be real with you, not like A-list celebrities or even B-list celebrities, but I've actually had like a few I consider C-list celebrities who are still good celebrities. But you know, it's not like a Ben Affleck's like in my reviews or whatever. But I've had a few like C and D level like type celebrities, actors and actresses, kind of like come to my reviews and say that they like them, and you know, and some of them have actually followed me, and you know, I'll follow them back, and it's been kind of cool. And I'm like, oh wow. And when you click on some of these actors and actresses and even producers, I've even had some producers actually like some of my movie reviews on Instagram. It's kind of cool. Um, so so I decided to just kind of make a branch, which is this podcast, and kind of I guess go further into my reviews and further into why I like movies so much and stuff like that. Because with Instagram or Facebook, you just have like that little blurb underneath your picture, and that's about it. So, you know, I feel like for some of my reviews, it's like I want to go in deeper into them, but I can't do it. And what's weird is that this, as I'm talking to you right now, this was actually supposed to be all on a website. I had built a website built specifically just to house all my reviews. But honestly, I kind of took it down because I got to a point where I was just uploading all my reviews and my most of my thoughts onto Instagram. Um, I didn't want to just make a website that was basically just doing the same thing as Instagram is doing right now. So it's like, why would I make something that's already out there with the perfect platform and all that? So why would I throw money into a website when I can just have all my, you know, all my stuff there? So, but anyway, uh, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what this channel is going to be. This is going to be about, we're going to talk mainly about movies. We'll talk mainly about sports, technologies, things like that. But this will mainly be a movie channel because I do have some thoughts about some sports like NFL, NBA, things like that. And I also have some thoughts on some new technologies that come out like cell phones, computers, laptops, things like that. Um, I also want you to understand that I am not like a Twitch streamer or anything like that. I like watching Twitch. There's quite a few people I follow on Twitch. But I don't, you know, I don't really need to basically uh, have like that whole Twitch setup of the purple and blue lighting behind me, and you know the soundboard with the you know that thing. You know, I don't have any of that stuff around me, so again, you have to bear with me. But yeah, anyway, that's a little bit about who I am, where I'm from, what this podcast kind of is trying to be geared towards, and things like that. And yeah, yeah. But I guess I need to start at the beginning in terms of how I even got into movies to begin with. So when I was in after school, after school care in grade school, they would always, at least I believe it was on Fridays, they always had like the movie of the day, movie of the night, or whatever. And it could be like, I don't know, Lion King, Hook, Aladdin, uh, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you know, things like that. And so, and we sometimes would take field trips and stuff like that to a theater. But I honestly, I cannot tell you the first theatrical movie that I saw. I can't remember if it was with on a field trip or if it was actually with my parents. But the first movie that I do remember going to see in the theater was actually with my parents, and it was to go see Casper. Casper, the 1995 movie starring Christina Ricci, which I actually to this day still enjoy watching. I know it's not everyone's favorite movie, but I still get a kick out of it. Um, but I distinctly remember that was like the first movie I remember going with my parents to go see in the theater, and yeah, it was Casper. Um, it was actually yeah, it was actually a theater that it's not even there anymore. It used to be in a town called Chapel Hill here in North Carolina, and it was called Movies at Timberline, and that's where I went to go see it. It was a Regal theater. Actually, that was the first. I have a Regal. This for the record, this podcast is not sponsored by Regal, AMC, or any movie theater chain. This is just me doing my thing. So I actually got my Regal Movie Club card from Movies at Timberline. That was my first. That was my first like membership into a movie club, quote unquote. But yeah, it was close to our house, and so I figured myself. And I think honestly, I think I signed up for the membership when I was probably in 8th grade, I think. And to this day, I have the exact same number that I had on my crowd card when I was in middle school. It's crazy. But yeah, it's the same number and everything. And it's just crazy to know I've had that card for so long. And that I've been a Regal Crown member basically since I was in 8th grade. And here I am almost 40 years old. It's crazy. But yeah, my first theater experience was with Casper. And I had a good time. And whenever I see it now on TV, I just kind of, I sit there and watch it. And I love Christina Ricci. I mean, hello, she is the Wednesday Addams. Like, Christina Ricci can do no wrong in my book. She is awesome. She is amazing. And I just love Christina Ricci. So, Casper 1995, yeah, it was great. All right, so moving on. I'm actually going to go into my movie reviews and the rating system that I use. I've actually had a lot of questions about it over the last year or so from certain people, and so I thought I would just kind of delve into my rating system. So, when it comes to me rating a movie, at the end of it, I do it out of a scale of 1 to 5. Basically, 1 being one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I think I've only awarded that to maybe 1 or 2 movies overall in the time I've done reviews. And 5 means it's perfect, it's spectacular. It might have a little bit of cons in it, like just very little, but not enough for me to deduct it a half point or a full point to a 4 or whatever. So 5 is the absolute best you can do, 1 is the worst you can do. Okay, so I think I can almost tell you off the top of my head who did I give a 1 to, and I believe it was Dennis Quaid. Yeah, it was Dennis Quaid. It was it's off the top of my head, and I'm forgetting about it. It was. Oh, man, I'm so sorry about this. It was Dennis Quaid in the movie, basically, yeah, it was a Dennis Quaid movie where he was the neighbor, well, yeah, I think it was the neighbor. The movie was so bad. The Intruder. Sorry, it was a slip in my mind. The Intruder. Yes. Oh, The Intruder. With with Dennis Quaid. I think that's probably the one out of 2 movies I think I gave a 1 out of 5 to. It was so bad. It was so bad. It came out in 2019. That movie... That movie was basically showing you what not to do. Like, the husband and wife in this movie, literally the husband is basically telling the wife, like, I really don't like our neighbor or, the caretaker, whoever he is or whatever. I can't remember if he's the neighbor or the caretaker, whatever. It's moot at this point. And the wife was just so blind to it. And he wasn't, like, charming or anything. The intruder, Dennis Quaid's character, he wasn't, like, charming or anything, But the husband had suspicions about Dennis Quaid and the character. And it was just doing things that you shouldn't do. It's like, come on in. Like, the wife was basically open doors for this guy. It's like, come on in, Mr. Killer. After her husband pleaded to her, please do not interact with this man or do anything. And it's just so bad that it's laughable. And I think there was like one movie that I gave a 1 out of 5 to, and that was it. And I'm not going to go through every movie that I gave a 1 to, a 2 to, a 3. No, if you want to see my reviews, they're all on my Instagram, reviewed by Nick, at reviewed by Nick. But yeah, the 1 out of 5. I honestly, The Intruder just made me. Yeah, I can't. I can't. Honestly, if I had to watch The Intruder again or watch Paint Dry, I'd rather watch Paint Dry. Just letting you know that. Yeah. Oh, anyway. So yeah. 1 is a pretty bad movie. If I give a movie a 2, which I think I've rarely done, basically a 2 means you're not a total piece of garbage. It's just that you're still a piece of garbage, but you're alright. You're alright. It's okay. If I give a movie a 3, which I've given a lot of movies a 3, and honestly, and look, everyone thinks when I give this is why I have everyone questioning me whenever I give a movie a 3 or 3.5 out of 5. If you were in grade school, basically a 3, if you got a 3 out of 5 on a test, it's basically like a 70%, like a 75%, which basically means you passed the test. A 75, like a 70, 75, you still pass the test, because usually it depends on what grade school system you're in, you're basically just, sometimes if you scored over 7, that in some books, that's considered passing. That's, some grade systems don't at me or whatever, just go with me on this. But anyway, when I give a movie a 3 or 3.5 out of 5, that means I actually enjoyed it. I actually liked it. Basically what it is the movie has a lot of flaws. I will acknowledge that. But if I had fun or had a good time where I could still follow the story, even though it might have been kind of hard to get through, but I still enjoyed it in the end, it's like, you know what? I'll give you a 3. There's some things that could have been done better, but some things I really enjoyed. So yeah, that's where the 3 comes from. A 4 means I really enjoyed you. I really had a good time. 4, 4.5. That means I really had a good time. I thought the story was pretty solid. I thought, it has some flaws. There are some flaws, but it's not enough for me to give you a 3 or 3.5. If I've had a really good time with you, I'm giving you a 4 or 4.5. Yeah. And basically 5 means you are absolute perfection. No movie is without its flaws, but if your flaws are so minor and so small, I'm willing to pass those off and give you the 5 out of 5. Now, listen, I'm not the grand poobah of, giving out movie scores and all that kind of stuff. This is just me. This is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to disagree with me. Just acknowledge that I just gave my opinion on this film or whatever. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, is I basically want everyone to understand that I love a good debate or a good conversation about a movie. Like, as long as you don't get, stupid about it. You can have straight up conversations about why you liked the movie, why you disliked the movie, why you thought the character was supposed to show this perspective or that perspective. I love hearing that because I love talking about that kind of thing in my comment section on my Instagram stories, or if you message me on Facebook, or you DM me on Instagram, wherever, and you say, hey, I read your review and I actually enjoyed it, and yet like tell me why you enjoyed the movie, because if I put up a review that says that I didn't like it, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you won't like it. If you still want to go out there and see the movie, go see the movie. Go see it. Tell me how you liked it. Tell me how you didn't like it. Just tell me. Like, we'll have a good conversation about it. We can be civil about it. Because I honestly, I love seeing things from everyone's perspective, because everyone can look at a picture, because a movie is a picture, essentially. It's a moving picture, but it's a work of art, and everyone can interpret art differently. Everyone can see different things in the art than the person standing next to you can see. If you took 10 random strangers, put a piece of artwork in front of them, I bet you all 10 of those random people would have 10 different points of view on that piece of art, depending on, what they're seeing and all that kind of stuff. But that's the whole point of movies, is that they're art. They're a beautiful art form. And we all can have different opinions on that art. We should not be attacking the people who made said art. We should be admiring the art that's in front of us and things like that, and just take it from that perspective. Movie is art, and it's a beautiful art form, and I hope more people will get into it. I hope this podcast will kind of help people go into that more, because I love talking about movies. But anyway, that was my movie review, rating system. So, I hope everyone gets a better understanding of that. So, basically, the next thing I do want to touch upon is the movies that we've had in March. The movies that we've had in March. This month has been insane. Honestly, this year has been insane for the movies that we've gotten so far. But March has really kicked it up a notch. I mean, I kicked off the year with Megan, which I really enjoyed. I saw A Man Called Otto. I enjoyed that. I saw Missing. I enjoyed that. Knock at the Cabin. I enjoyed that too. And then you get into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I enjoyed it. But I'm going to tell you what now. DC, Marvel, that is going to be its own podcast one of these days. And I will go into details about where Marvel has been, where they're going, where DC has been, where they're going. That will be a separate podcast. I don't know if it'll be the next podcast after this one, but it will be in a separate podcast, because I have a lot of thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Cinematic Universe. But anyway, as I go through the list here, Cocaine Bear. Actually, it wasn't terrible. Cocaine Bear wasn't terrible, but I felt like all of the funniest stuff we saw in the trailer and not necessarily in the movie itself. There was a scene at the gazebo. I thought the gazebo part of it was actually the best part of the whole movie. But it wasn't a terrible movie, but it's just that a lot of the comedy that was in it was already in the trailer for it. So there's that. But then you get into March, and yeah, we had some pretty big hits. Creed 3. Awesome movie. It was great. I've enjoyed the Creed franchise as a whole. I'm not a huge boxing fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even get into UFC fights, to be honest with you. Because to be honest with you, if I'm just being upfront and honest with you guys, I just feel like UFC is a little bit barbaric. And that's why I will drink the WWE Kool-Aid all day long, because it's tolerable action, whereas I can't stand seeing someone's face getting beaten to a pulp to the point where the next day they have this. It's like, where does their head begin and where does the lump begin? Like, it's just so, UFC is just so brutal. But anyway, boxing itself, I've never been a big fan of boxing. I was never a fan of the Rocky movies. But it was the Creed movies that really just struck my fancy. I was like, this is actually pretty good. But anyway, 65. I saw 65. I thought it was eh. I know a lot of people actually enjoyed it. Um, I didn't actually put that review on my. There are going to be times where I go see a movie and I just want to go see the movie without having to worry about putting a review up or anything. And 65 was one of those movies, and I just it wasn't terrible, but it didn't necessarily tell me why the characters were doing what they're doing from the beginning. And I don't want to get into spoilers because it's still out in theaters, but especially if you haven't seen it. But I just I just yeah. Anyway, um, Champions. That's the Woody Harrelson movie. I actually went to go see it as part of the Regal Monday Mystery Monday movie thing that they do every month. And I decided, you know what? I'll go check it out because I assumed it was going to be something else entirely, but it wasn't. And it was Champions, and I was like, okay. And I almost walked out of the theater. I'm glad I didn't. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of cute. It was a cute little movie, but yeah. Anyway, but then March really kicks up when you get into Scream 6. I enjoyed the last Scream movie. I was never a big fan of the Scream franchise as a whole. But Scream 5, the last one that came out, and then this one, Scream 6, I thought they were brilliant. I'm not going to say they were the perfect movies. Absolutely not. But I really enjoyed them. And a part of me kind of wishes how they handled the Scream franchise is how they should have handled the Halloween franchise. I enjoyed the Halloween 2017 movie. I loved that movie. That's actually one of my favorite horror movies of the most recent years. But then you get to Halloween Kills. All right. And then you get to Halloween Ends. Okay. Of the three movies, I think Halloween is the best one. The 2017, I think that is the best movie of the entire franchise. That includes the original one, and that includes the one that Rob Zombie made a few years back. I think the 2017 Halloween is actually the best horror movie of the entire franchise. But of the trilogy that came out, Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, I actually think Halloween, if I had to rank them in first, second, third, in first, obviously, Halloween 2017. Second, I would actually put Halloween Ends. And then in third, I would put Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills was a huge disappointment and step down from the 2017 movie. And I just don't know. I felt like in Halloween Ends, they tried to rebound from that as best they could. And it's like, they fell so far, and it's like I still enjoyed Kills, or excuse me, I still enjoyed Ends, but I did not enjoy Kills really at all. I was just really disappointed by it, but I kind of feel like Halloween Ends tried to get back to what made Halloween 2017 the hit that it was, and it's like, no. it almost got there, but it just like it just a bit outside. you know But anyway, with Scream 6, I just thought that they towed the line from Scream 5 to Scream 6, and I didn't miss Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell, I didn't miss her. But like I said, I'm not a Scream head, I guess that's what you call it, Scream fan head or whatever. And I just didn't really get into to the whole franchise really until Scream 4. Scream 4, and then saw Scream 5 last year, and then Scream 6 coming out this year. I really enjoyed both these movies back to back. And then Shazam 2 came out. I enjoyed Shazam 2. I know it really bombed at the box office, and it's continuing to bomb at the box office, but I really enjoyed that movie. I really enjoyed the family dynamic of the Shazamily. And to see that play out again, I was just really happy to see that. And Uh, I wish more people had gone out to see it, but again, I have a whole other podcast kind of in the works or in my head. I don't have it written out or anything about where I think Marvel and DC are both going, where they've been, and stuff like that. Again, that's another podcast. John Wick Chapter 4. Come on. It's in theaters now. It's, it's so good. It's so good. The action just the gun fu it all is just incredible, and the shots in Osaka I thought was really nice, really beautiful. The ending, how it ends, it's just it's John Wick is basically a modern western in a way. Um, and how it all this whole franchise started because of a dog. Everyone, it started because of a dog. It started because of a dog. Like, come on. And how we got from John Wick to John Wick Chapter 4, it's been one crazy ride. But how it ends, it's a masterpiece. And then we get into Dungeons and Dragons, which I actually saw a preview of it just the other week, and I really enjoyed that movie. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is absolutely, it's so funny. It, there were so, there was just so many. I felt like I was watching Robin Hood Men in Tights again, and I felt like I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, like kind of mashed into one, and I really enjoyed it. Especially the graveyard scene. Is that a question? Yes. It's like, are are you okay? It's like, yes. It's like, okay, so I have to go see it again. It's so funny. But anyway, um, yeah, that was March. All those movies, those at least the heavy hitters, they came out in March. And as we creep into April, Super Mario Brothers and Air open on April 5th. I am super excited to see both these movies. Super Mario Brothers because obviously I played Mario growing up, although my mother probably played Mario more. Because every time I turn around, she's either on my Nintendo system or she's playing on my Game Boy, playing Mario. Although I probably beat Super Mario Land on my Game Boy probably like 20 different times in my life. And I played it so much because it was so fun. But seeing the trailers, I'm getting pretty amped up about it. The whole Mario Kart thing, oh, everything. And Air, the Ben Affleck directed movie. That's what I'm really excited about, is that this is a Ben Affleck directed movie about Michael Jordan and Nike. Like, this is insane. And it has Viola Davis. Hello. Viola Davis, hello. She can do no wrong. She is freaking royalty. Like, she's amazing. She's amazing. But anyway. But those come on April 5th. Evil Dead Rise comes out on April 21st. I'm very much looking forward to that. And just to let you know, I'm going through these movies for April because I don't know when my next podcast will be. So just letting you know. I don't know if I'll be doing one this Saturday or sometime later this week or sometime next week. But yeah, just give me a heads up. That's why we're kind of sneaking a peek into April. But yeah, again, Evil Dead Rise, it comes out on April 21st. I am looking so forward to seeing that movie. I love the Evil Dead franchise. I loved Ash vs. Evil Dead on Stars. It was so good, and I wish it wasn't canceled. I still wish it was still on today, but it's so good. If you haven't seen Ash vs. Evil Dead, it's pretty funny. But from what I'm hearing, this Evil Dead Rise is, from what I'm hearing and from what I can tell, it is a pseudo sequel to the Evil Dead movie that actually came out a few years ago that no one really talks about, but was a great movie. That was a great movie. It was directed by Fede Alvarez. So if you haven't seen that Evil Dead that came out just a few years ago, check that out because it is a crazy, crazy, gory, bloody horror of a good time. It's really good. But yeah, apparently, from what I'm hearing, this Evil Dead Rise movie, is technically a pseudo sequel to that Evil Dead that came out a few years ago, but it's also, I think, spun into its own universe or whatever, separate from that movie. I don't know, but from what I'm hearing, Evil Dead Rise is brilliant, and I'm actually glad that they did not put it on HBO Max. They put it into theaters. Way to go, David Zaslav. Your axe wields again, sir. But this time it wields in the side of good. And it looks like they made the right choice by putting Evil Dead Rise into theaters. Well, it will be coming into theaters on April 21st. And lastly, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Once and Always. 30 years in the making. I am old. I'm almost 40 years old, but Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is getting essentially a special / movie, and I can't wait to see this. I have so many questions, and talking about future podcasts, I'm actually planning on dedicating one of my future podcasts to the Power Rangers, but I think I'm going to do it after Once and Always airs, so that I can kind of go back and talk about my theories about it and what actually happened, and then talk about if I liked it or not. I love the trailer. I do have a lot of questions, and even before that trailer came out, I still had a lot of questions about how is Rita back? But then when you sit and think about it, and you think about all the Power Ranger lore, at least from the television side of it, you can kind of place how one ties into another. But I have so many theories, but I am also super excited because this is the Power Rangers that I have been wanting since I was a little kid, watching Power Rangers at my grandma's house on a grainy antenna television on Fox Kids, where you had to use tin foil to get a signal to watch Day of the Dumpster, and it was so grainy. And now to see the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in full-on HD 4K, probably Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision on the movie, and it's like, yes, this is what I've been wanting for so many years, to see Power Rangers in full effect like this. And I am super excited about Once and Always. I am a huge Power Ranger fan. My house is littered with Power Ranger toys. Like, I kid you not how big of a Power Rangers fan I am. I'm super excited, but again, I am planning this. I am dedicating a future podcast to Once and Always, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But I'm going to do it after it airs, so that I can kind of tell you what my original theories were and what really played out. It will probably be a spoiler-filled thing, so like I said, I'll probably do the podcast after it's aired, so that I can kind of gather my thoughts. But of course, I'm probably going to do an Instagram review on it, so you can check that out when it comes out on April 19th. So yeah, I'm just super excited. Anyway, well, that was a lot for 40 some odd minutes. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me on this podcast. It might be the one and only one, because like I said, I have so many thoughts on what I want to do for this, and I don't know if I'm going to keep up with it. I don't know if this will be just one in the bag and then just be like, nope, taking this microphone back to Best Buy. I don't know. And just to let you guys know, I'm using a Shure, S-H-U-R-E, a Shure microphone. It is the MV7 podcast kit. So it came with its own little stand. It's actually kind of cute, actually. I like it. I was deciding between the blue mic and some other mics, and this was honestly the one mic that was coming up on a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of podcast channels as the mic of choice that they were using. And so I did a few tests with it, and it sounds great. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Anyway, I'm going to end on this, with this being my first podcast, first of all, I want to thank a few people who I've never met and probably will never meet because I'm in North Carolina and they're in California, I believe. But I listen to their shows and their movie reviews and their YouTube videos and Instagram, all that stuff. But I want to just thank people like John Campia, Perry Nemiroff, and honestly, the two men who really got me interested into movie reviews at all. I know it was originally Siskel and Ebert, but that was a little bit before, just a bit outside, just a little bit before my time. But really, the pair I really got into was Ebert and Roper. That was the one I was watching. It would always air on, I believe it was WB22. It would be on at like sometimes noon, sometimes 1 o'clock on Sunday. And Ebert and Roper, Richard Roper, I would always watch them. Mainly I watched them because they would show some clips of the movie that I was wanting to see and not just the trailer. So I was like, oh, I want to see this movie. I want to see that movie. But they were, it was Ebert and Roper, Perry Nemiroff, John Campia, and a slew of others, Amy Rose Eisenbach, who really just got me inspired into wanting to do this. So I just wanted to shout out to them. And also a shout out to all of my friends who really gave me the push I needed to do this. Like I said, this could be the only one that I do. But I just want to give them all a shout out. You know who you are. You know I love you. You know I care about you. So I just want to thank them and, just giving me the push and inspiring me for wanting to get into this. I don't know what will happen after this. This, like I said, I keep saying this might be the only one because it might just be the only one I do. So, but anyway, the last thought I want to leave you all is with this. I want you all to understand this podcast is a safe space for you. This is a safe space for you. This is not a podcast that is going to go into this is not a podcast that's going to go into politics. I'm making that clear right now. I am never ever going to talk about politics on this channel, this podcast. This podcast is about movies. It's about nerd culture, geek culture, about Power Rangers. It's about television shows. It's about stuff that I enjoy talking about. And if this provides you with a safe space, bring it on in. Brothers and sisters, bring it on in. I want everyone to know that, this is just here to just give you a little break from whatever it is you're doing. If you're caught up in work or kids get on your last nerve or whatever, and you want to just break for an hour or, once this ends, will probably be about 50 minutes. Just put an episode of my podcast on and just know that you're going to escape with me as we dive into movies and nerd culture and, I don't know, pop figurines. I don't know, hot toys. I don't know. We'll think of something, but we'll get through all of it together. And, I just want y'all to understand, as I repeat this again, this is a safe space. I'm not going to be mean towards anyone. I'm not going to attack writers or producers or directors. That's not my thing. I'm just here to talk about art, how I view said art, and what I think that said art means for all of us in the long run. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing here. But anyway, follow me on Instagram at Reviewed by Nick, or on Twitter. I just opened the Twitter, so there's only one tweet on it. So if you only see one tweet, it's like, yeah, it's just me. It's I will be tweeting more. Yeah, it's you can follow me there also at Reviewed by Nick. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining me on this. I hope you all had a good time. Or if I straight bored you, I'm sorry about that, but I hope you got a good nap out of this. Anyway, I am who I am. I think, therefore I am. Anyway, you all have a lovely, lovely day, and hope to talk to you guys soon.